Hello, everyone. My name is Bill Hunziker, and I'm your host. This is Creating a New World, about the 12 Visions world. Before we get started, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. I've opened the question and answer app, so if you have any questions, feel free to type them in, and we'll take a look at them and share them with everyone. Also, I wanted to let you know that this is episode 8 of Creating a New World. The previous episodes can be found at tocreateanewworld.blogspot.com, which is a blog that includes links to all of the videos of the first 7 episodes. So feel free to go there and watch the previous episodes if you have not done so already. Also wanted to let you know that if you think of any questions after the show is over, feel free, or if you're watching a recording of the show, feel free to send me an email at whunsiker@gmail.com, and I will be happy to answer any of your questions. And I'll repeat that email address one more time, whunsiker@gmail.com. I am a self-leader, which means that I think, decide, and act by myself and for myself. And I am also a conscious being, which means that I integrate reality in order to create values to share with with society and other individuals. And we're all learning to be those things, and I'm on the path to learning to become more and more of those things, because that is what I want to be. Let me introduce our panel so that we get started. First, we have Sage Katakura, who is the secretary of the 12 Visions Party and also a really close friend of mine. Welcome, Sage.
Hey, Bill. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to get into today's stuff.
And we also have Harry Dolgen, who is my business partner, and he's the treasurer of the 12 Visions Party and also my close friend. Welcome, Harry.
Hi, Bill. It's nice seeing you again, Sage. It's a pleasure seeing you again.
Harry.
Okay, just a moment. Okay, first we're going to take a look at the 12 Visions world. Last week we took a look at Vision 6. Today we're going to look at Vision 7, which is embrace the lover of your fantasies.
Ooh, this is an awesome topic, as they all are.
Yep. For all you people, all you men out there who are not married, go for it.
Okay, Harry.
Those women that are married, go for it.
Well, I'm stuck. I'm married. Just kidding, everybody.
Go ahead and read the first section, just the first 2 paragraphs for me, please.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'd be more than happy to. Okay, Vision 7, embrace the lover of your fantasies. Inner circle vision. Imagine this. You become the most desirous attraction to the person of your dreams. Romance ensued, and the flame of those passionate first few weeks just kept burning year after year. This time, your fairy tale romance lasted a lifetime, and to add to your physical passion, both you and your lover easily acquired your most sexy and slim look without really trying. This scenario was no secret wish. It actually happened tomorrow in the 12 Visions world. I saw it happen in my 7th vision. This was Mark Hamilton speaking. And it happened to married couples too, who fell in love all over again. The 7th vision came to me in 2 parts. First for men and their love lives, second for women and their love lives.
Thank you, Harry. We're not gonna read directly from the book for the rest of this. Basically, we're going to share our understanding of what this means. I'll start off briefly. Basically, in the 12 Visions world, once you discover the person you were meant to be, and you also discover your deepest motivational root, so that you start living the life you were meant to live, and start applying that deepest motivational root to um, creating a business and enjoying uh, great prosperity in your life, um, you can look to share that with a partner. And you can also, because you are enjoying your life, because you are living the life you were meant to live, you want to be in the best physical health that you can possibly be in. So you can continue sharing your life with that other special person for as long as possible. And that person also will be living the same life that they were meant to live, and will want to share that life with you, and will also want to live as long and as healthy as possible, and share that with you. And to me, that's the whole point. First, you got to learn to love life and learn to love what you're doing, and then want to share that with someone else who's the same. Anyone else have comments on that?
That's just huge. I think that needs a moment of silence after that. But I think that's really such a big factor. We grow up with Disney movies and all that, and romance ideas and movies, which is such a huge stimulating point. That's why romance is in so many movies and books, because it's a big factor in our life. We get so much value and so much stimulation from that. And I've always had that picture in my mind, but those don't talk objectively about what you just said, Bill, and that's finding out your deepest motivational root. And so many relationship issues are out there, so many relationship therapists are out there, so many divorced lawyers. It's a huge business now. And that fact of finding first, before you find this individual that you're just magically going to fall in love with, and they're going to love you and you're going to love them forever and ever, while you see in reality so many people falling out of relationships and falling out of that stimulating love for each other. It's so contradictory, and I see people kind of evading reality or feeling guilty that they don't really honestly feel that way for each other. But Mark Hamilton identifies that it's the love for your life and the love for your goals and dreams that is the first part, and from there grows out the love that you share together. You know, by feeling content first with your life, and then that other person being content with their life, your paths are you build synergy together, and it grows and escalates from there. That's huge.
Yeah.
I just want to interject one brief thing. Sure. I agree 100%, Sage. And in addition, I would ask that it's the love for yourself. I mean, it's almost become a cliche that you can't really love anyone else until you love yourself, but it is really true. Because if you're insecure, if you have big things in your life and about yourself that you don't like, it's hard to, if you don't have that feeling of exhilaration and joy about everything you're doing, it's hard to share that with another person.
Exactly right. All the pieces will fall in place. You're in a. I get what I get from this. Your inner happiness will eventually come from creating values for other people. And when you're involved in creating, then you feel exhilarated, and the other pieces in your life will come together, like finding a love partner, or even if you're married and you're out of love with your partner. Once you're happy with yourself creating, you could probably bring back the romance that you had when you met that person. Yeah. So again, to me, the key point is the creating values for other people and the inner happiness it gives you, exhilaration, and then all the other pieces in your life will come together from that.
And wow, that's just. Can we end the show now? I think I've gotten it all.
Well, you can comment, or Bill, you want to keep going? I mean, you know.
Yeah. For me, there's also once you have found your deepest motivational root and can find joy and happiness and prosperity in what you're doing.
Right.
Then you also have the self-confidence and self-respect.
Great.
To honestly look at a relationship that you're in and honestly evaluate it, you know, to see if you and the other person are really, you know, compatible with each other and really, you know, really two people who should be together. You and your partner can look at at your relationship honestly, and decide mutually, or possibly if you're in a relationship with someone who remains mystical and is continuing to act in self-harming and harmful behavior that's harming you, you can make an honest decision respecting yourself to get out of that relationship and look for a relationship, that's fulfilling for both partners.
Good.
So
Just remember this term. It might not be a neo-think term, or it might have something to do with reaching the 12 Visions world, USA, which is unconditional self-acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, unconditional. So
Yeah.
it's a term you can, use because it might help.
It's powerful, and this really it almost makes neothink and the principles of neothink and what you'll find in the visions points to not conditional, but realistic love for oneself. Real love for oneself, where you have iron grip control over that competence and confidence and self-acceptance, like you said. Unconditional self-acceptance will come from your, I think, the honesty, the integrated honesty that you apply to everything in your life, including your innermost thoughts and your actions and what you're doing. As your life improves with those things, the soil, the fertile soil is perfectly there. You're healthy. Like you said, Bill, I know I've been in relationships where the other people are not thinking along these terms, and I feel drained from it. I feel tired. And it's always living two separate lives, and it's maddening because it's going forward and then going backwards from a relationship to try to bring up the other person or try to lessen where I am at mentally and not mentally, everything. Mentally, physically, and emotionally, like you said. Anybody trying to tear away the value of themselves brings you around that, and it just is not, it's not interesting at all. And once you get the confidence and power to apply this stuff and not accept that anymore, it gets a lot more exhilarating because you're in a good place by yourself, right? You're there, and then the right person will come. Don't worry about it. And in the meantime, you're having a great time in the meantime.
Fertile ground. That's a nice analogy, Sage.
Yeah.
I'd like to welcome Bob. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
You're welcome, guys.
Hi, Bob.
My apologies for being late.
Nope.
I got distracted, was doing something else, and the time got away from me.
And just to bring you up to date, Bob, we're discussing Vision 7.
Okay. Got it.
Yep. I just wanted to add to that part of discovering the person you were meant to be also includes pushing aside all of those rationalizations and illusions you've created so you can live with the person you are now, and tolerate the person you are now. Once you push aside all those illusions and rationalizations, then you can start looking at yourself honestly and start looking at parts of yourself that you accept because they're you, but you want to improve to become more the person that you want to be, the person. And once you reach that point where you've come close to becoming the person you were meant to be, and you're living your deepest motivational route, in addition to all that, you'll want better health, you'll want all these things, and it will give you a confidence that is very attractive to other people.
Right. And it starts at taking responsibility for your own thoughts and actions, because for myself, I know I've been in the blame mode a lot of times, blaming my wife. You did this to me, you did that to me, and all that. And I have to stop and think and say, no, I'm doing this to myself by the way I'm reacting.
Yeah.
So, I have to really catch myself, and I have to really question my beliefs about whatever happens.
That's awesome, Harry. My hat's off to you. That's a huge growth.
It's a hard to do, though. I'm still
Yeah.
working on it.
Not easy, right? But
Yeah.
everything gets easier. And Bill, I think you just split the atom with what you were talking about of that going into yourself and just making sure once you're honest, then and happy with yourself, it just it's humongous the energy
Absolutely.
that comes out of you for doing for
Absolutely. Absolutely.
living the life you want to live.
Yes,
Suddenly, that romantic.
we're all on that journey, going toward that, you know, and it's a never-ending journey. But as you move along the journey, it becomes more wonderful and joyful.
Yes, right.
Yeah, one of the things that helps me remember that is I have on both my desk here and also at work a little sign that says I'm responsible. And
Yeah, you
then
mentioned that on another show. That's great. Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
you mentioned that. That's great.
Yep.
Awesome concept.
Yeah,
And-
in addition, I would also say that taking complete responsibility for your life also, and it may sound weird if you haven't thought about it, also puts you in complete control of your life.
yes,
And in control of everything, including how you react to whatever comes at you.
Exactly. Agree.
I mean, anyone who says things like "you made me mad,"
Yes, which I've done.
you know, that pushed me over the edge, you know, these are people that are not taking full responsibility for their lives and are pushing the blame for their reaction onto other people or situations.
Great.
The cool concept about that is that you have the power, and when you're giving the power out to them, you have no power. So would you like the power, or would you like to give them the power? And ultimately, the reality is that you have the power, but you're giving them the power by saying that they made me feel this way. You feel the way you do, and you decide what you're feeling. And if they make you feel that way, you made yourself feel that way based on what they did or acted or said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You-
right. That's right. The bad experience that you might have did not cause that consequence.
Yes.
Okay? It's your belief, it's how you reacted to that bad experience that that contributed to the consequence.
So powerful. And that one thing, if you're just the first time hearing that, maybe it's not, but just like we were talking about a process, it gets stronger and stronger. But to a point, once I heard that, it changed from night to day, and it's gotten better and better and stronger when I had that concept in my mind. Suddenly, all the old hang-ups and old things that used to hang on me, it's like, wait a minute, I'm in total control. I'm feeling the way I'm feeling because of the way I'm choosing to feel.
Right.
And it takes practice, and if you're in a negative area, I'd say get out of it because it is hard, and you'll test your skills at how good you are at that. But for the most part, it's still true. But you can slip back. So watch your surroundings and who you're talking to.
You created where you are in your life. Nobody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of the decisions you made up to this point created where you are. I would say also, in addition, this gives you the ability, if you're not, as long as in a situation, to step back, even if it's only for a fraction of a second, if it's an emergency situation. But if it's a less intense situation, you can step back and take in all aspects of the situation, integrate it with your knowledge and understanding, and create a solution that is best for you, rather than just immediately reacting and possibly creating a solution that makes things worse.
Bill, that sounds like work. You gotta think.
That's the problem. Nobody wants to do the work. I don't
Yeah,
want to do the work.
Effort.
They just want to react automatically. That's called
me
being
too.
a follower.
Yep, that's what I was guilty of. Yep.
So it takes work, and it takes a little effort, but it's overall, would you say it's worth it, that little effort?
Yeah, that's why I talk at the beginning of the show about the fact that I'm a self-leader. I am actually learning every day more and more about what being a self-leader means, and what, all the things we've talked about are included in being a self-leader. Everything from taking complete responsibility for your life and everything that's happening into it, to taking responsibility for how you react to situations. All of that is part of being a self-leader. The basic thing is you decide.
Yeah.
That you got to have those two words in your mind at all times. I decide. No one else. I'm not gonna do what this person says unless I decide it's what's best for me at this time.
Powerful. Yeah.
One position that comes to mind, it just happened recently at work. We had some managers who were let go yesterday. And when you're in that position and you're the individual that happens to be being let go, it's very difficult for you to see at that point that you are responsible.
Yeah.
You created that.
Yeah.
But realistically, you did. And when you can accept that responsibility, it makes it much easier for you to move on in your life and go on with what you have to do.
I agree.
I agree. The same thing happened to me over 2 years ago. Back in 2012, I had been at a job for almost 14 years, and finally it had reached a point where I had a problem with the job for a long time, but I was still trying to maintain the job. But because of the decisions and choices that I had made, it finally reached a point where the management at that position decided that it was time to let me go. But unlike previous times, there have been a few, but not a lot, fortunately for me. But previous times when I've been fired from a job, I always tried to, say, anything but this is the result of my decisions and actions.
Right.
This last time, that's the first. I accepted that.
Right.
I said I've done and decided things that have brought me to this point. I have control over this, and I went out immediately and started looking for new work and got a temporary job that lasted 9 months, and then got the job that I have now that's lasted over 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Excellent.
Amazing. Dylan, for all those people that are sick out there, I've talked to friends and family that are sick sometimes, and they say, well, I didn't choose to get sick, and I'm dealing with a genetic condition. This is getting to a real world, another example of it. And I just feel that if you take the responsibility, that mindset that you have full control and you created it, then you have suddenly all the power to change it.
Yeah.
And in a completely different state where you can do something about it to change it, rather than totally being at its mercy and being open to whatever it's going to do to you. Which would you prefer? Which outcome, which position would you like to be in? Being at cause or effect? And that's what that mindset allows you to do. And why not choose to be the cause? Why not choose to be taking responsibility?
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can do something about it to change it.
Right. It's like one more thing, and I know make it fast, Bill, so you can go. You're automatically reacting to what happens to you, okay? And because you're not stopping and thinking. You're like a zombie. So what you got to do is you got to stop and think and question and dispute all your thoughts, all your negative thoughts, or your negative actions, okay? And try to make a healthy consequence from that. Most people don't do that today, okay? They're zombies.
And it's
and they
maddening
react to
at
everything
times.
that happens to them.
Yeah, it's maddening at times when you
It
start.
really is.
Because by myself, just getting over that zombie state and questioning things is a pain sometimes because you don't know if there's going to be an answer and you don't know what the right decision is going to be. But after a while, you realize things get better. My life, I'm just talking about my personal experience. Things got better. I feel happier, more in control, and that's how it's worked out for me. And I've listened to a lot of you guys. You've done the same thing, and a lot of good things happen once you did that. So it just I see it time and again in real world examples that it leads to better results. So why not?
Yeah, and I would add one final integration. Also, giving up responsibility for yourself and your actions and reactions and control over those things gives control to other people so that they can control you and manipulate you.
Yeah.
And
That's what Sage was saying. That's
Yep.
what Sage was saying. Give them
Why would you want to be there? Why would you want to be there? But it's
Right.
true, Bill. And I choose the other way, and it's so exciting because I'm thinking right now, I want to jump out of this chair with excitement because we can do whatever we virtually want to do. That's a huge statement. But virtually, you are in control. You've always been in control. But once you get that concept, what do you want to do now? Now that you've understood that, if you're there, if you're ready to make that decision,
Well, you have to believe it.
yeah.
Once you believe it,
No,
Oh,
you have to know it and understand it.
and also believe.
If
Yeah.
you know
You
it
might
and
not believe it.
understand it, you don't need to believe it.
Hmm.
I don't like the word believe.
I know.
The primary definition of believe or belief is
Yeah.
accepting something without evidence.
Okay, good point. Good point.
Yep. So we have to be careful what words we use.
Yeah.
That's part of integrating reality. So let's bring this around and summarize it. For me, this discussion, people will say, well, what does this have to do with finding, with embracing the lover of your fantasies? The point we're making with this discussion is it starts with you. The whole thing starts with you. You have to take control of your life, take responsibility for it, find your deepest motivational root, and start to move toward enjoying and creating a life that you can enjoy and love and have fun with, and that creates confidence that becomes very attractive to other people.
To the
That's the
opposite
point.
sex. Yeah.
That's the point. That's the stimulating stuff, guys. That's the
Yep.
result. Do you want that? Just listen to it and apply. That's it.
Thank you, everybody. That was wonderful. I have on thinking about it, I've decided, and I'm sure some people will be happy about this, to reinstate our wonderful Where's the Force?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Been waiting. That's why I'm on this show. That's a
Yep.
big reason.
I have
And
to look out for Darth Vader. Darth Vader is around.
so today's topic, and actually I'm thinking it up right now, I'm going to be honest with you. Today's topic is education.
Wow.
Sage, where's the Force?
Well, one area of where is the force? They force you to pay taxes. That tax is then chosen by the head of state or whatever to go to the educational system they have in place. You're forced to send your kids to school in many jurisdictions, I think, many municipalities. That might not be so true, but that's some thing I've heard, a concept I've heard. But the force is the tax. It starts with the tax, then it goes to the system, and then you're forced to get your kids or pushed or urgently urged to get your kids into that system. And they're taught by the system that's available with whatever they're going to tell them. And statistically speaking, it's been disintegrating information. They teach you disintegrating information and percepts rather than concepts, which leads them to not integrating and then not leading a prosperous, very profitable life afterward.
One
One
of
of the things that I see with this education system, and where is the force? The force is not teaching the children how to think.
Right.
The force is teaching the children to become computers.
Yep, that's just what I was going to
Information
say.
in, information out, and that's what they're doing with the children, and that's where the force is. And unfortunately, I think it's very degrading for the children because they're really not getting the education they should be getting, and they're not learning to think of their own choice, and they're not getting to really use their mind the way it should be used.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, the external authorities, the teachers, are actually telling the kids how and what to do, so that they're, like you said, Bob, they're like robots. They should really be teaching them how to think, and how to integrate knowledge.
Right.
And that's how I grew up. I mean, I was told what to do, and I followed.
And teaching them how to learn on their own, similar to what we're doing with Mark Hamilton's books and that. We're researching areas that we were never taught in school.
Absolutely.
and we're learning on our own. We're learning to use our own minds and make our own
Absolutely.
decisions.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, the children aren't taught that. They're taught to be followers. You know, ask somebody else. You want to know something? Ask somebody else. Don't go look for it on your own.
They don't know how to think. They don't know how to think, and they're not self-leaders. They're in the following mode, and they grow up to be stagnated. I mean, that's
Right.
the whole point. Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think that's part of why you have so many children today are committing suicides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
They're not taught to think on their own, and they're felt that they don't have anywhere to go. You know, they don't know what to do, so there's no other choice for them.
Bob, you seem like you're you know, you're a young kid. You're like, you're integrating. You're just
A
like,
young old kid.
you're young, you know, and that's just a pure example of what, once you start integrating yourself, this is the way we're designed. It's the way we're born, set up. I don't know how we came about, but it shows just the way we were designed, because the results are so stimulating. And I see it from you, you know, just how stimulating you are about projects that you get into and learning information and applying it. It's cool.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Excellent integrations. In addition, I would add that basically, because of the way the education system is set up right now, you're given very little choice in what your children learn. Basically, because you're forced to pay for the public school system.
Yeah.
Unless they have some kind of voucher system, which almost always comes with strings and limitations and other things that still give you limited choice of what kind of education you want your children to have. And in addition, basically, unless you want to become a politician and go and become part of your local school board, you have very little choice in what is actually taught in school.
Mm-hmm.
And yep.
Yeah, you're right. And then I guess taking that concept we were talking about earlier, that we have all the power. So maybe we can create something else, which we're doing partly with this show, and all the roads lead to Rome. But you can self-school. You can do some things. You can use your mind. Your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the answer, but this might start you to think, what can you do? And especially when you love your children, all the reason is there in that child, you know, to think outside the box and apply this stuff. So that what's the solution? I'll be working with you, because I plan to have children hopefully one day. And but anyway, regardless, I like the people that have an awesome choice, that are exhilarating, giving kids the future that I can see for myself. I'm enjoying. Why can't they have this? Why do they have to get so miserable and then commit suicide, like you were talking about, Bob?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So go ahead, Bob.
I'm trying to apply some of the things that I learned here with my the two nephews and the niece that I have living with me. Every day I try to encourage them to read the books, to just learn things on their own. You know, they got these tablets and cell phones and whatever, and they're constantly playing games. And then
Video games.
you know,
Yeah.
and I asked them the question, you know, what are you learning from that? You know, what is that teaching you? And I said, in my opinion, you'd be much better off picking up a book and learning about somebody's experience in life, and learning how somebody did something that maybe one day you might want to do. And, you know, it would be much better for you in the long run. And it's a hard thing to get through to the children today.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Forces of nature.
Yeah.
Stimulations.
But like I just have my one little niece came out to me just a little while ago. She was in the bedroom sitting there on the floor in the dark trying to read a book, and I opened up the curtains so she could see a little bit. And then she come out when she was done, and a few minutes later, and she says, I just finished reading these 2 books. You know? And I congratulate her, you know. I says, you know, good, that's very good for you, you know. And, You know,
But she didn't.
it's nice when you see that
Yeah.
come about, and it gives you satisfaction personally that
Yeah.
you were able to encourage somebody to do something like that, so that they're improving their lives instead of just passing by time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, to sum up a little, basically, depending on what school your children go to, they're taught to, in both public schools and also in religious schools, they're taught to be followers.
Mhm.
In public schools, they're taught to follow external authority,
Right.
and then they're taught that external authority is the government, is the police, is
The
anyone
church.
but them. And in
Right.
religious schools, they're taught that the external authority is God, and that you're supposed to listen to and follow people who say they speak for God. And
Mhm.
that's basically what school is. So you're forced to pay for school, uh, forced to pay for school that you have no control over, and your children are forced to learn to be followers rather than self-leaders. And that's where the force is in schools.
Mhm.
Thank you very much, guys. Let's move on to our next segment, which is the national platform, and we're going to pick up where we left off last week, which is the fourth needed effect of the 12 Visions Party, starting at the bottom of page 9 in the platform. And I'll start the reading. The fourth needed effect of the 12 Visions Party is minimizing unemployment. Now, if anyone remembers that we covered this last week, which I don't, please let me know, but I believe this is where we left off.
I wasn't here, so I don't know.
So hearing no correction, we'll continue on. If we are covering the same ground, it's not bad. So continuing, to best understand this, Mark Hamilton, of course, is speaking here, so I'm not going to continue saying Mark Hamilton. I'll just say I'm reading what Mark Hamilton has written. To best understand this, let me go into something I write about in the pages to follow, in which I talk about a split run, a term used in the direct mail industry. I use the scenario, let's split run America. In other words, let's say half of America continues on her current path, the other half splits off into Hamilton America, i.e. an America with the prime law. In Hamilton America, there would be no taxes. No taxes seems to just about everybody as something undoable, but the reason it seems undoable is because our minds are stuck in the only political dimension known on Earth. You see, taxes, i.e. forced taxes, are intrinsically part of the only political dimension we have ever known. Rule of man with initiatory force as our governing body or our ruling class. So we are not able to look at the possibility of no taxes with any sense of credibility. Without forced taxes, today's political dimension would disintegrate, making the idea of no taxes impossible. However, in the new dimension of no initiatory force and no rule of man and no ruling class, in my scenario of Hamilton America, I ask, what would happen in such a country where there's no taxes? Well, first of all, businesses would move to Hamilton America. Suddenly, that becomes the place where the jobs are, and hardworking people would follow for work in Hamilton America, where the jobs are available, where there are no taxes. Hamilton America would boom. There would be a demand for real estate, for buildings, for factories. Homes would be built and bought. We would see a rapidly booming economy with essentially no unemployment in an environment of pure freedom. We would experience the prosperity explosion that I've written about for the past 30 years. Everyone would live a wealthy lifestyle as the cost of living is driven down to fractions of what we currently experience. And what people would gladly pay for a government that provides the conditions for this millionaire-like universal prosperity and peace. People will pay for prosperity and peace. Yes, people will voluntarily pay for a government that provides the conditions for them to live like wealthy millionaires in a world of safety and peace. We just do not know this because we have never entered this new dimension of no initiatory force. Ultimately, the government would run as a protection service, as a business structure as I described in part 3. So to recap the fourth needed effect of the 12 Visions Party, it would eliminate unemployment as the country booms in this new dimension.
Wow.
This is awesome.
Wow.
To me,
A lot being said there. Yeah.
One of the things that I experience as far as people not having to pay taxes and showing an example why we don't need taxes is, I have noticed over the years a lot of people that have been successful in their endeavors, whatever endeavor they're doing, whether it be sports or business or whatever, they come out and say, that they're doing charitable things and they're helping people, whether it be servicemen coming back from overseas or children or children that have been sick. They come out and they say, they make the comment that it's just my way of paying back to society for the benefits that I've gotten out of my life because of what I've done. And, that kind of highlights to me that we don't have to require people to pay taxes, because once people are successful and doing what they enjoy to do, they will voluntarily give back to the society.
Good point.
yes, yeah, and in addition to that, a lot of people, especially people who haven't gone into the bookkeeping or accounting field, are unaware that a lot of what a company pays to employ you, you never see, because it's at least a third of the money that they are paying to employ you, in addition to the money you're earning. A big portion of that goes to what are called employer taxes,
Right.
which if they didn't have to pay those taxes, they would pay them to you, because they've already decided this is the amount of money we're willing to pay to employ this person. And that money would go to you. And also the taxes that you do see that are taken out of the pay that's left after the employment taxes would not be taken out. So I would say that your income would immediately increase by at least half, if not more.
Yeah.
What did the government take out in 1900, Bill? It was like 1% they took out around.
Not even that. The federal government survived on excise taxes. There was no income tax in 1900.
Okay, but it was very
They tried an income tax after the Civil War, and it was declared unconstitutional. So the only way they could get an income tax was by passing an amendment, I believe, in 1913 to the U.S. Constitution, saying there could be a federal income tax.
Withholding, my point is, withholding was a lot less years ago than it is nowadays.
Yeah.
That's my point I'm making.
Yeah, I agree with that. And to illustrate that, in my brief time in college, I took a course called Business Law. And at the end of one of the chapters, they had a quote that was purported to be from the first pamphlet explaining the Social Security system. And that quote, which wasn't the law, it was just something they wrote in a pamphlet. But still, that quote said Social Security tax, and I'm paraphrasing here, I don't remember the exact wording. Social Security taxes will be 3% of the first $3,000 you earn. You will never pay more.
Wow.
And now I'm earning in excess of $40,000 a year, and I'm still paying Social Security taxes.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Because they increase it every year. I mean, I used to think I could catch up someday and be successful enough that I was making more money than the top level where they take out Social Security taxes, but I've never made it.
And that money, I'm a business owner, and I pay those employee taxes that you're talking about to all the people. And one thing that comes up, you'll probably hear an argument that says, well, the owners will take the money then and use it for themselves. But the thing there is that I see personally, I'm an owner. I would take it. I know my other business partner for the one corporation I work for, he would gladly take it. I know his mentality. We're very close friends, and we would try to increase our profits. But what happens when you have competition in our marketplace is that we have other companies that if we only take it and we don't invest it back into the company, which includes our employees, we don't get better. And then we start going out of business. And it's a beautiful natural cycle of business competition in the capitalistic environment.
Mhm.
And that's what makes us better. And with companies doing that, the services get better and better that we're constantly competing with for. And then, like Mark Hamilton says, it's amazing what happens. The beauty, the value that comes up from that competitiveness, and the standard of living that comes from that is just euphoric. It's nuts. And it's a world we don't know because that initiatory force took that money, forced us to make that money pay to the state of New Jersey and the federal government because we're in New Jersey. And honestly, I'm a business owner. We work every day. We show up to work. We work hard. But I haven't seen what the New Jersey government and the federal government have really done to my business to help that we pay for services. We pay for our phone service. We pay for other things that help our business run, the internet. But we paid a lot more to the government, and I haven't seen one improvement that I can pinpoint that gives my business a great value to help me be more competitive, except for a mugger coming into my place of work and gunning down all of us. I'm just saying, protection-wise. But even if that were to happen, they don't really prevent. I haven't seen any process that helps them prevent that from happening. So.
Yeah, although they also provide roads for you to get to work, but
Yes,
not very
thank you.
good roads.
I'm sorry for not mentioning that. I have thought about that. And in New Jersey, yes, it's like the moon, driving across the moon to get to work.
Mhm. I mean, it's the same thing. Whenever you have a monopoly, you get the worst possible product or service at the highest possible price. It's always, no matter whether it's a government monopoly or a business that's using unfair business practices to have a monopoly, that's what you always get. Because if only one person is providing a product or service and people need it or want it, they're going to pay whatever that business charges for whatever they provide.
It's human nature to get also lazy and get comfortable. And we're all flawed, as it says in the Prime Law. You'll see that. And if we don't have that competition, why would you improve? Things are going well. You don't really need to, but when you need to,
right.
stay in business.
Yeah, we constantly hear about how capitalism and the free market have failed. The problem is we've never had real capitalism or a real free market.
Right.
We've always had a government-controlled market.
And that's initiatory force. It all boils down to initiatory force. And like
Exactly.
you were saying, when you were reading that, the one key that Mark Hamilton is so clear in the whole 12 Visions party is that it's initiatory force. It's the only party that identifies initiatory force and outlaws initiatory force to release all these naturally occurring effects.
Yeah. I heard one thing, Bill, then you can go on.
Yeah.
I was reading in Vision 9, Becoming a Genius, which we'll get to, I'm sure, in your show. Mark Hamilton says that the common denominator of the problems in our world is the rule of man, and that the masses will know this common denominator sometime in the first quarter of the 21st century. So it's just very interesting to me. If that's true, we got another 10 years.
Yep, we got 10 years to go for them to figure it out.
Yeah.
We've figured it out. Okay, we're gonna move on to the fifth effect. This one's a little shorter. Can I have a volunteer to read that one?
I'll read it. You go ahead, Sage.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, the fifth effect of the 12 Visions party would be greatly improved quality of life. Standards of living would soar. Our buying power would soar. Our wealth would be something we never experienced before. We would enjoy our lives. We would live the lives we were meant to live. In this new dimension, unburdened new technologies and unburdened geniuses of society would lift our buying power and quality of life to unimaginable new heights. We have seen one microcosm of this recently, and that was the computer revolution. Imagine that computer paradigm that was very lightly regulated, during which computer buying power multiplied thousands of times. Imagine that same freedom paradigm spreading across all industries. That image, that same phenomenon, is what we would experience in Hamilton, America, otherwise known as the 12 Visions world.
Wow.
Wow. And that's what we keep talking about as we discuss the visions is this greatly improved quality of life, all the way from buying power to enjoying what we're doing to prospering.
Yeah. So awesome. This
And
is
not being afraid of that sound.
Yeah, there's a cop coming. Oh.
right.
Yeah, one of the things that I had the opportunity to point out just this last week to somebody close to my family, she was complaining she doesn't have enough for this, she doesn't have enough for that, and I don't know the exact quote, but I know I've heard this quote: "If you own your own home, you are a very wealthy person, and you are wealthier." The quote I've heard is wealthier than 90% of the world's population. I don't know if it's quite that high, but I would say it's probably somewhere in that area. If you own your own home, you are a very wealthy person, because there's a lot of people don't even own the clothes on their backs, no less own a home.
Yeah,
So
good point.
And of course, the problem with owning your own home in this world
Yeah,
is you don't really own it.
right.
Because,
Yeah.
because if you
Yeah.
don't pay your property taxes, the
They
government
take the house.
takes away
Yep.
from
right.
Good point. Yep. Foreclosure proceedings. Auctions. Yep.
Okay, since we're approaching the hour, I'm going to cut it here, and we're going to pick
So
this
fast?
again
Are you
next
kidding?
week. A wonderful discussion, and I greatly appreciate it.
Wow.
And we're going to wrap up. To me, everything we're discussing in the platform shows what we're trying to create here and what we're talking about in this show. This is the world we want to create. This is a world of prosperity, freedom, feeling of being safe, and having the idea when you hear a police siren that they're going to protect someone rather than to enforce the law. Has the word force right in the middle of it. And that's the whole point of what we're doing here. And I want to thank Sage Katakura for joining us and giving us his insights on everything we've discussed. Thank you very much, Sage.
Thank you, Bill.
And I want to thank Bob McCaffrey also for joining us and sharing his perspective with us. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much, Bill. Happy to do it.
Thank you. And I want to thank Harry Dolgen for joining us and sharing with us his wonderful questions that help us to think and learn and grow. Thank you, Harry.
Wonderful. Thanks, guys. Bill, Sage, and Bob. I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to let everyone know that you can watch this show again anytime you want. In about 10 or 15 minutes, this show will be available on YouTube and also on the blog site, which is to create a new world.blogspot.com. And I would greatly appreciate any feedback on what we're doing here. You can either make comments on YouTube or on the event page on Google+, or you can send me an email at WHUNSICKER@gmail.com. I'll say that one more time, WHUNSICKER@gmail.com. This show will always be free to watch, whether you're watching us record it or watching the recording on YouTube or the blog site. But if you feel that we're creating something of value here and would like to help us, we've set up a Patreon account. That account is patreon.com/creatinganewworld. And for as little as a $1 per episode, you can help us maintain and improve the equipment we're using to record this show, and just show your appreciation for the value we're creating. But no matter what, this show will always be free to watch wherever you choose to watch it. Thank you, everyone, and I wish you wealth, health, peace, happiness, and love.
Bye.
Bye.